Hello there. So today's video is about Batumi and it's about how controversial the city is. It will consist of three parts. First of all, I will present you their a little bit strange part of it, like the old part of Batumi. Actually, it's not really old. It looks old, but it was this is the part where I actually live in. My house is just oh, you cannot see my house because it's already behind the other buildings. So I live in the part of Batumi which is kind of new. It was built, constructed, planned, filled with humans in the Soviet times, I believe. And you can see those constructions belonging to Soviet times. The wonderful part of it is there are, see how beautiful the nature is. So nature is really cool there because wherever you see, wherever you go, you can see mountains. I cannot see any of them here because there are high buildings. So this part is mostly this part of the city consists of buildings constructed in the Soviet time, I think so. So they look kind of ugly, but at the same time interesting, because as you might notice, how to say, unplanned, unpre-planned building and reconstruction is quite common for Batumi. And also there are many new buildings, mostly they're skyscrapers. If you notice one behind me, there is another one right now under construction, so they're everywhere. Just let's and that's another one, and that's my favorite part. Yeah, they probably noticed that the building is obviously under construction yet, but at the same time people already live there. There are definitely yeah, they're definitely full of people. Some of those what do we call them, apartments don't even have any that's a cat. You cannot really see a lot of cats here because they're mostly dogs, big dogs. So, and now I want to go to the older part of Batumi, which is more beautiful to my mind, and because it's mostly for tourists. But this part is also nice. Look at those buildings. And there is coming the second part of Batumi, which I actually don't like because it's very loud here, and actually had to walk for 5 minutes to find a place which is quieter, but it's not quiet, and it's full of skyscrapers. You see? The definition from the dictionary: skyscraper is a building which is scraping the sky. Really high buildings, but why I don't like this part? Because it's not comfortable for people. It's not created for people at all. Because you know if you try to park somewhere, that's like impossible to park your car, and there are no parking lots, and it's impossible for people to walk. Okay, Anna, right now I'm staying on the pedestrian side, but for 5 minutes I was just walking somewhere squeezed between buildings. Oh yes, I will continue moving to the last part of Batumi, which I prefer. And that part is, the closer you come to the sea, you will see more and more skyscrapers. The further you come from the sea, closer to mountains, the shorter, the lower the buildings will be there. And it's nicer, I guess. There are gardens, there is quietness around, and okay, let's proceed. And there is still construction. Oh, and we need to pay special attention to this idea of drying clothes in the street. In 100% of humidity, it's impossible to do inside the house. So people organize those interesting constructions. And It's kind of dangerous, but okay, at these heights it's not. It would be scary, but they continue doing the same even when they live as high as on the 21st, 22nd floor. And finally the last part, I mean the most beautiful part of Batumi, which I don't see much because I work, and it's kind of far from my place. Not far, it's just 20-30 minutes walk, but it's already beautiful, made all for tourists, but it's at the same time it's built long time ago, so there are like historical buildings with huge trees. This huge, very interesting. And there we go. That's what we call an old part of Batumi. Yeah, and it's noisy here. So that's what we call an old part of Batumi if you look at the Google Maps, but it looks nicer than the new part of it because, you know, investments. And it's nice. I don't come here a lot. I mean, it looks marvelous. Don't you just see how much pleasure you can get just observing those shops? Which is interesting. There are some shops. The fascinating moment that they locate those shops in an interesting manner. Like you can find shops of one and the same type in in one street. For example, I found one street full of second-hand shops. And then there was a street with Thai massage shops. Not exactly shops, but rooms. It looks cozy here, and because the streets are narrow and there are many trees and those old balconies look really cute. Old-fashioned balconies without any reconstructions. Recently made, and the doors looks like a masterpiece. Oh, very cool. You'd better not to look inside. Yes, and that's a place where you shouldn't wear high heels. Only for sneakers. Though the pavement is mostly for cars, so people can walk on the sidewalk, which is also comfortable. Another tree. And there is food. No comments. Okay, so that's probably the difference between the ugly part of Batumi and the beautiful one. No, I wouldn't say that it's ugly. It's just old. It's haven't been taken care of recently, and it's just covered with mold. I mean, the old part, the new part where I live, and in comparison to this part, yeah, really no mold, so they still clean it. Okay, now I just said that there is no mold, and there is one example. Yeah. Still, humidity is very high, so you cannot do anything against nature. The only thing can be done without ease, which can be done, is just to clean it, take care. So, which takes a lot of investments, I suppose. And so, where am I? I'm actually, that's like the most common tourist part of Batumi, where people usually come to see, to buy souvenirs and so on and so on. Some station where you could have, technically where people could buy tickets for ships. But now there is no connection with Turkey by sea, no connection with Russia by sea, so it's not working. We went inside, it's empty, just empty, there is nothing inside, nothing interesting. And the view is marvelous here. Actually, there is a railway station on that side of the sea, and I was there once. Yes, I was there last week. I took video from that side of of the sea. It was really cute to see the lights which started shining here. So, and also that part. Yeah. Okay, let's go and see it. So, to make a conclusion, we've seen two parts of Batumi, which technically it was divided by me into 3, 4 and more, not like just old Batumi and new Batumi, and that's the most frequent inhabitant which you can meet in the streets. Just really big dogs, really playful, joyful, still scary a little bit because they're bigger than me. So, okay, we can consider that one part is more beautiful, another is less beautiful, but they are both nice. I mean, coziness of old Batumi is nice, but with the hectic society where we live now, it's kind of impossible to live there because people like their creature comforts and they want to have shops nearby, which is quite impossible in old Batumi. Why do I say impossible? There are many shops and even more than in the new part. New part has supermarkets. In the old part you can find only old traditional shops, or maybe really small, convenient. Not convenient, but just small shops. And I personally really like one building in the center. It's situated near the beach, near the Twin Tower where I live, and I usually walk by it quite often. I like it because it reminds me of the time when I used to play the game. There is a computer game, Tropica. And in the game you were supposed to rule the island, and I used to be a governor of this island, and the task was to control everything, to rule the people, build the successful economy. And while being a governor, I used to live in this beautiful house, and the style of that house really reminds me a lot of that house. The issue is that it's kind of old and sad. I mean, it's beautifully built and they put a lot of thoughts in it, real big respect to the architecture of the building, but now it's all covered with mold, and I don't know, especially in comparison to the new building which is going to be constructed near it, it's going to be something impossible. That's a chupa chups. Let's come up with sort of a conclusion to this video. Right, look at the city, it's really beautiful. Visiting Batumi means visiting city of contrasts. To my mind, it's really city of contrasts, all tourists, all innovations, it's really the buzzing urban vibe here. And Batumi is really loved for it, I guess. Look at those skyscrapers, those stately old houses. They stand nearby gleaming postmodern skyscrapers and casinos even around. And all of it is accompanied by calmly parks, peaceful sidewalks along the sea, and just walking around, and you could really get into a surprising place where you can just bump into some old Georgian church like that one. And it's just walking through some yard in search of a shortcut towards the sea, which I did, and I really enjoy this walking around here, and it would be great to repeat. So thank you for watching. If it was interesting, you can write any comments. Just enjoy your life. Thank you. Goodbye.